We had just sat down for dessert when his mother stood up with her wine glass. That's when I knew something was about to go horribly wrong. "Here's to disinfecting a poor girl," she said, and threw red wine in my face. "Let me take you back to how we got here. My name is Flourish, I'm 28, and I built my own marketing company from scratch. I started with freelance jobs, working late nights, juggling 3 part-time gigs. Now I run a boutique firm with high-level corporate clients and a growing team. I'm proud of that, not because it was easy, but because I earned every bit of it. 2 years ago, I met Brian, my ex-fiancé, through a mutual business connection. He was charming, polite, and never once treated me like I was less than. Brian worked in finance and came from a wealthy East Coast family, but he didn't flaunt it. Or at least, that's what I thought. Things got serious quickly. We moved in together after a year and even started merging our future plans, talks of a wedding, buying a house, and traveling more. 6 months ago, he proposed on a quiet cliff in Santorini. I said yes without hesitation. Then came the invite to meet his parents. "They're a little traditional," Brian warned. "But they'll warm up to you." I smiled. "Brian, I walk into boardrooms full of executives who expect me to fail. I think I'll survive dinner with your folks." We flew into Connecticut on a Friday. The moment I stepped into their mansion, I felt it. Cold, controlled, the kind of luxury that makes you feel like an outsider no matter how well dressed you are. His dad, Richard, gave me a stiff nod. His mom, Eleanor, scanned me from head to toe with a look that said, "You don't belong here." Dinner was tense. "So, you run a little business?" Eleanor asked, swirling her wine. "That's cute. Is your family in construction or something?" I smiled. "Actually, I'm a marketing strategist. We just finished a campaign for a Fortune 500 client." Brian laughed nervously. "Mom." She ignored him. "You must have had such a practical upbringing. No wonder you know how to hustle." I was polite. I didn't flinch. I'd heard worse in my career. But I was starting to understand where Brian's lack of backbone came from. Then dessert came. And so did the insult. Eleanor raised her glass. "This is to disinfect a poor girl," she said, and splashed red wine straight into my face. The room froze. "That's for thinking you can trap my son with your rags to riches fantasy," she sneered. "If you want to marry Brian, the price is $200,000. That's the entrance fee to this family." I didn't say a word at first. I just stared at Brian. He laughed. He actually laughed. Asterisk. It wasn't nervous. It was embarrassed. He didn't defend me. He didn't even look sorry. That's when I stood up, calm and clear. "Thank you, Eleanor," I said, dabbing my face with a napkin. "You just made my decision very easy." She narrowed her eyes. "What decision?" "I'm pulling your company's account from my firm," I said smoothly. "Effective Monday." Her face went pale. See, Eleanor's company, her precious family business, was one of our newest clients. I had just signed a contract with them worth nearly $500,000 asterisk for a full national rebranding. And legally, we were still in phase 1, which meant I could walk away with no penalty. "You can't be serious," she snapped. "Oh, I'm serious," I replied. "And don't worry, I'll refund what's left in escrow. You'll need it, for napkins." Then I turned to Brian. "And you? I was willing to build a life with you. But I can't marry someone who laughs when I'm humiliated." I walked out without looking back. Brian stood up, finally, his expression panicked. "Babe, wait, you don't mean that." I turned to him, my voice calm but steady. "I mean exactly that, Brian. If you can stand there and laugh while your mother throws wine in my face and insults me, then maybe you're not the man I thought you were." I walked out. No tears. No turning back. Brian chased after me to the car, stumbling over his words. "She's always been this way," he said. "She's thrown drinks at other girls before. It's just her thing." I stopped and looked him in the eye. "That's not a personality trait, Brian. That's abuse. And you standing there doing nothing, that told me everything." I left Connecticut that night and flew back to New York alone. The next morning, I sat in my office, the skyline glittering outside the window, and drafted a termination letter to Flourish's company. The contract allowed us to exit early without penalty. We were still in phase 1. I sent it to legal for review and within hours, it was done. The fallout was instant. Flourish emailed me directly, not to say sorry, of course. She begged, claimed the campaign was crucial for their Q3 relaunch. Said the wine had blurred her thinking. Said she misspoke. I didn't respond. 3 days later, Brian showed up at my apartment. He looked rough, like someone who hadn't slept in days. I miss you, he said. I love you. I talked to my mom. Really talked this time. I let him speak. I said nothing at first. Because somewhere deep inside, I still cared. But I was no longer sure it was love or just habit. And I needed to be sure. Brian, I finally said, you showed me who you were when it mattered. I need time to think. I won't spend my life beside a man who lets someone else treat me like a dollar amount. He nodded, but I could see the pain in his eyes. The thing is, this wasn't just about me being hurt, it was about respect. About worth. The next week felt like limbo. Brian texted every single day. Some days it was a question mark. Other days, long messages saying I was being unfair. That I let business cloud my judgment. That I humiliated his mother. I didn't reply. Instead, I poured myself into work. My team stood behind me without question. We absorbed the gap in our campaign calendar and gave 2 waitlisted clients a shot they had been praying for. They were thrilled, and honestly, it felt good to give someone who respected us a real opportunity. One of my senior project leads came into my office with coffee one afternoon and said, "You did what every woman dreams of doing. You walked away, with power." I smiled, but my heart was still aching. Because deep down, I had loved Brian. I believed he was different. That he saw me. But when it counted, when I needed him to stand up for me, he froze. Worse, he laughed. And I couldn't unsee that. 10 days after I got back to New York, I received an email. Not from Brian, from his assistant. A dinner reservation, 7:30 p.m., rooftop restaurant, one of the most exclusive in the city. He wanted one last chance to talk. I thought about ignoring it. But part of me needed closure. I went. I wore black. Sleek, powerful, simple. Not for him, for me. When I arrived, Brian stood as I approached the table. Like we were still the perfect couple from some glossy magazine. He looked tired. His eyes carried the weight of regret. "I owe you an apology," he started, voice soft. I didn't interrupt. He reached across the table, but I didn't take his hand. "Not just for that night," he continued, "but for every time I let her talk down to you. I should have stopped her the first time. I was afraid. Afraid of disappointing her, afraid of losing everything, but I ended up losing you." I studied his face. He meant it. But whether that was enough, I wasn't sure yet. He looked me in the eye and said, "I finally had a real conversation with my mom. I told her she crossed a line, and this time, I meant it." I sat across from him, quietly listening. He continued, "All my life, I let her control my choices. I thought if I didn't obey, she'd shut me out. It's how she raised me, reward through obedience, distance through disapproval." Then Brian slid a folded document across the candlelit table. I opened it, and blinked. It was a signed resignation letter. He was officially quitting his position at Flourish's investment firm, his mother's company. Effective immediately. I told her, he said, "If she ever speaks to you like that again, she won't just lose a contract. She'll lose me." I didn't know what to say. For the first time since that night, it felt like he wasn't just saying sorry, he was actually trying. He reached for my hand. "I know I've hurt you. But is there any part of you that still believes in us?" In me. The rooftop restaurant buzzed softly in the background. Candlelight danced between us. I took a breath and finally asked the one question I'd kept buried. "Why did you laugh, Brian?" He looked down, ashamed. "Because I panicked," he whispered. I didn't know what to do. I thought laughing would lighten it. I thought if I didn't react, it would just pass. But I was wrong. So wrong. That was the first truly honest thing he'd said in weeks. I didn't say yes. I didn't say no. I told him the truth. Real change isn't just quitting a job. It's who you become when no one is watching. That's what I need to see. That's what will make me stay. He nodded. No pressure. Just hope. Then he kissed my hand and left. In the weeks that followed, he followed through. Brian moved out of his family-funded condo and into a modest apartment downtown. He started freelance consulting, building his own client list from scratch. One of my friends forwarded me a link. He had posted a public apology. He didn't name me, but he admitted that silence in the face of cruelty is still cruelty. I didn't reach out, not because I was angry, but because I needed to heal on my own, not wait for him to become a new man. Then, 3 months after that wine-soaked dinner, I got a call from an unknown number. "Hello, is this Miss Carter?" "Yes, who's this?" "This is Flourish Prescott." I went quiet. My spine straightened. She continued, voice stiff but sincere. "I'm calling to apologize. My behavior was inexcusable. I let personal bias destroy a vital contract. I've since stepped down from daily operations. I read the letter you sent your legal team. It was calm, professional, and full of grace. More grace than I showed you that night." I said nothing. I just wanted to say I'm sorry. Still, I didn't offer her comfort. I didn't tell her it was okay. I simply said, "Thank you for your apology." Then I hung up. I never told Brian about the call. I didn't need to. A month later, I received a quiet email from Brian. Subject: still standing. Body: still growing. Still waiting, if you'll have me. This time, I met him at the park where we'd had our first date. And this time, he didn't show up as the polished son of privilege. He came as a man who had finally fought for his own life and mine. We sat under the tree where we first kissed. We talked. We cried. We forgave. I didn't say yes to marrying him. But I said yes to starting again. As equals. Because real love doesn't ask you to shrink yourself to fit into someone else's world. It challenges both of you to grow and build a new one together. If you enjoyed this story, please like, share, and subscribe to support the channel. Your support helps us tell more real, emotional stories that matter. Thank you for watching.